There she is.
Finally, Mata. You sly minx. Hi, everybody. I'm so sorry we're late. Did she throw me under the bus? It's my fault.
I did not, actually. You just did it yourself.
Behind. I'll take that bullet. Sorry.
I just said that we were late because we were meeting and chatting, and it got a little bit
stupid.
Well, it is us, so. Oh, guys, this is why maybe you shouldn't be business partners with your friends. Sometimes things go a little sideways.
Did you just call me your friend?
Gross.
We're best friends. Did you just say gross? Am I that mean? I like that was your impulse.
Okay, let's get. We're late. Let's get started.
Get started.
Hey everyone, welcome back to So You Wanna, a show for writers by writers. If you are just tuning in for the first time, So You Wanna is a brand that was created by myself and my best friend and partner, Meg, to help us all grow as authors. Our main goal is to create a community that we can all thrive in and, of course, bring more books into this world. All that said, I am Elle, and I am contractually obligated to be here. So I'm also the author of 2 contemporary romances, Calorglin and For the Love of Art. You can just follow the links in my link tree on my bio to get to those on Wattpad. They are free to read.
I'm sorry. I spent a lot of time looking on this board. I want people to see it. I bought that board for you guys. Yeah, I'm Meg. I'm probably an agoraphobe. I'm the author of the dark fantasy romance, The Miranda Rights, and the sexpionage novel, Birds and Bullets. You can read all my work on Wattpad as well. Also to include my very broody poetry is on there too. I just, not self-plug here, but it is my show, so there. I just released another book, which is sadder somehow. It's called Ice and Stone. So there's Shallow and Ice and Stone on Wattpad as well. You are aware we can't read that, right? Because it's mirrored. Well, I am now.
Should we start the show over? It just feels like it's going wrong.
If you need the link, it's in my bio. If not, just hit me up after the show. I'll be happy to make Elle find it for me, then send it to me so I can send it to you as I do with everything.
I'm sorry. Okay. All right. We've got all your questions, and we're excited to answer them all, but we won't be doing that till the end of the show. Today, we are going to talk about world building. Oh my gosh, someone's here for the chaos. That's good, because the entire start has just felt like chaos.
It says world building. Let me move Eddie here, okay? For anyone who doesn't know, this is bookmarks I had made of Eddie that we had Meredith Ann on here a few weeks ago. She does drawing on the side, and yeah, she made those for me, as Eddie is my favorite. Don't at me. So you want a world building, Sunday, May 30th. All right. You're welcome. I even made it silver for you guys, and you're going to at me about mirrored words. It's just us this week. You want to get started?
I think this is just a train wreck waiting to happen. Let's go. All right. So I'm going to start us off this week talking. So last week, I said probably 6 million times that I'm not a fantasy writer. So let me make this 6,000,001. I'm not a fantasy writer, you guys. And I think the thing is that a lot of people, when they think about world building, they think about fantasy, because that's where you see a lot of world building. You have to create a lot of different elements for your readers. So, but as a contemporary writer, I think that one of the biggest mistakes I made when I started writing was that I actually did not focus on world building. And the fact that even as a contemporary writer, I still have to create a world, even though it's a world that we all live and exist in, and we all know the rules and the laws and like the different languages and stuff like that. So, and this is actually something that I see in a lot of new contemporary writers, is that they kind of forget that you still need to create a world experience for your readers. So today I'm going to talk about how to build a world while being a contemporary author.
Hi.
Hello.
It's got some new faces in here. Hi, guys.
Yeah, it's nice seeing new faces. All right. So as I said at the top, and I'm going to plug myself again, because just like Meg said, my show, I can do it. I have 2 contemporary novels. So Calorglan is set in Seattle, Washington, and then later we move over to Ireland. Obviously, the town of Calorglan, based on the name of the book.
I can't say.
For the Love of Art is set in New York. And for both of my novels, I really had to start with a very basic step that I think some of us forget to do, or maybe just don't want to do, and that is research. So when I set out to write Calorglan, I knew instantly that I wanted to write about Puck Fair. This is a fair that I knew about. I've always wanted to go and be a part of it because I thought it was just so weird. It had to be fantastic. So I spent a lot of time really educating myself on the fair, how it works, and how it plays out from start to finish. I also did a lot of research on Ireland itself, so all the different cities and stuff, because it's very confusing. Ireland has a lot of cities that sound the same. There's like Killarney, Killarney, Calorglan, like all these names are so similar. Pardon?
Cork.
But anyway, there's just so many places, and I think everyone instantly thinks of Dublin. And so I really wanted to create a world that stepped outside of Dublin, and into different parts of Ireland for it to be a little more fun. But to do that, I had to learn about all the different parts of Ireland. And then after that, I really started to think about like what other world building things did I want to sprinkle in there. So I threw in Irish Gaelic, which is actually not super common in Ireland, which is why I thought it would be a fun piece to add to my novel, because it would be different. And that's something that you want to make sure that you're doing whenever you're writing a novel, because how many novels are based in Ireland? Probably a lot. I have not maybe read them.
4.
4. Calorglan is 5. No, but there's probably quite a few books based in Ireland. So I wanted to make sure that I had little pieces and little elements that set my novel apart from any other. And that's part of why I included the Irish Gaelic. I thought this was different than the normal. So if you are a contemporary,
is that wrong?
It's Gaelic, yeah.
This is the Fruit Loops incident again.
All over again. All right. If you are a contemporary author, I'm going to give you guys just a few tips here for how you can help do better world building for yourself, and why world building is important. So it's really important that you do world building because it makes your novel not feel mass produced. So even though you're using the real world, and I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter where in the world you pick, there's probably a good number of novels based in that area or in that setting. You still need to create something that is memorable and immersive. Something that I always think of is high school. There's lots of high school stories, especially in the young adult world. Not young adult, sorry, the teen world.
Bad boy quarterback, sorry.
Exactly.
I think I've actually on episodes. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, we're jumping away from novels into other apps apparently today. But if your story is taking place in a high school, which is a common background for and setting for a novel, and there's nothing wrong with writing that, you need to make sure that you're planning out what makes it recognizable as a high school, but what makes it unique, so that you're not creating the same story over and over and over again. That's how you prevent that from happening.
Mm-hmm.
Your setting should also really flesh out your characters. So you need to think about like what influence does living in a certain area have on your character? Does it change their personality? Does it make them, or for example, maybe I should say in Calorland, I have the way that Patrick grew up on a farm, very close knit with his family, and that was really important. And that's how that setting played a role in his life and why he is the way he is. So that's kind of the things that you want to think about.
Hi, Basil.
And then also doing some good world building and doing some research and really planning why your story is set where it's set. It helps it from being all over the map. It also helps you figure out how does the setting affect the overall story. So for example, in For the Love of Art, I have it set in New York City. And I work really hard to try and keep the writing really fast-paced and kind of trying to mimic the hustle and bustle of New York. So that's something that you can think about whenever you're writing. Like, can it change the way that you write so that your story, again, is just different than any other story that's set in New York, which, by the way, there is a lot of the stories and movies and shows set in New York. So if you are writing in New York, I highly recommend that you think of things like that. So when you are writing contemporary, don't let making a believable world fall to the wayside. It's important to make sure that your world really lingers with your readers. Every genre, you're trying to paint a picture, and contemporary is no different. You need to paint a picture for your readers. You want them to know where they are, what it's like, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And the best way to keep it realistic is, I'm going to say, like, do your research on the place that you are writing about, and take your head out of the tourist side of things, because you need to make sure that the way that your characters are acting are how people who live in that setting act. It's really easy to be a tourist in your book instead of living there. And that's a huge pitfall that you want to avoid. Well, that's all I really have for contemporary. So Meg, I'm going to pass it on to you.
Okay. And naturally, I'm going to slide right into writing in fantasy, because that is where I thrive. Granted, I wrote a urban fantasy, which is, magic realism is another word for it. That just means that I took our world and added fantasy elements to it. So is it cheating? Who's to say? But as Al said, for me, building a world is all about that research. That's like the biggest thing. And I plug this as much as I possibly can, but there is a university I have forgotten the name of. That's how worthless I am. But I'm pretty sure, I'm taking notes, I'm pretty sure it's the University of Albany, maybe. I know it's in New York somewhere. Your New York thing actually sprung it up. But they have a hotline that you can call 24/7 and just ask any question, I will post this. Actually, I'll look it up. I have it saved, and I will post it to my story right after the show. I've made a little note for myself. Elle set a reminder for me. But yeah, then you'll have that source after you finish watching this. I'm not posting it before then. Anyway, so research is a big one. That hotline, they'll answer any question you have 24/7. So if you want to know how long it'll take someone to bleed out, probably call them. You probably don't want that in your Reddit history. Don't look at me like that. You know,
I desperately need to know that information.
Yeah, there are, you know, I'm getting called out for my fish brain. There are resources out there. You can call nurses, you know, police officers, you know, teachers, people who are experts in the subject that you're looking for. Yes, Reddit has, you know, you can look at that too. Is that really, you know, is it the Wikipedia of the internet now? Who knows?
The Wikipedia of opinions.
I know what I said. But yeah, yeah, you just want to do your research because again, kind of what Elle was saying, you know, a lot of people read to travel and like, I want to go to Ireland, but am I going to Ireland anytime soon? No, I would go to see the Puck Fair because I love goats. But
I'll take ya. We'll go together.
Okay. But yeah, you know, and people want to see the description and stuff. So world building is really about that. Something to remember though when you're doing that, and again, what she said, don't be a tourist. Like, your readers don't know unless you tell them. So yeah, they might be in a coffee place. I might be stealing this straight out of your mouth, Elle. This sounds very familiar. You might be, you know, in a busy coffee shop, or your character might be, but your readers don't know that unless you say, like, hey, you know, it's really noisy here. So yeah. The second thing about world building is try new things. Do not be scared to try new things. That's how, you know, worlds are created, and that's how, you know, Game of Thrones happens, and just like Star Wars and all that. Like, you just have to take your idea, not be afraid to write it. And you know what? At the end of the day, if it's complete garbage and should not see the light of day, you know, just hit the delete button, and no one has to know that it ever was, you know, in existence. But you would be really surprised what you find you might like. For instance, Elle here says she's not a fantasy writer, but she also says she's not a poetry writer, and I know that she is releasing a poetry book soon, and it's really good. So, you know, don't be scared. Just try new things and go with it. Read, that's another thing. It's kind of like, I feel like there's two sides to this. Some people feel like it's a big myth. Reading makes you a better writer. You know, myth busted. Reading doesn't make you a better writer. Whatever. I think in most instances, if you're reading a lot, then like you're just a big spoiler alert. I'm sorry. I'm bad for spoilers, Mata. You know that. But I do think, you know, reading really helps expand it. But not only that, but like, have you guys ever been like reading something and then like bam, something just clicked and you were like, oh my God, like I don't know what it was, but whatever sentence I just read triggered something in my brain, and now I have worked through chapters 13 through 17, which I was at a complete wall for. So I think it does something good for you to just get your brain going. And then Google Images, like Elle said, but I really like Google Earth, because you can go anywhere and like in the drop of a hat. And so I use that a lot. Miranda Writes is set in Memphis, Tennessee. I've been to Memphis, Tennessee, but if you need to know where the freaking police department is and what it looks like on the outside, you can type in their address and it pulls it right up, you know, and then you can spin around and see what's happening. And yeah, you know, like there are a lot of really good resources out there. Another one is Instagram hashtags. So, you know, hashtag cities. Also use the location services there. And yeah, and then the best thing that ever happened to me, and this is going to be so lame, I feel like we're just going back and forth hyping each other up, Elle. Make writer friends. make reader friends, you know, beta testings, and, you know, overall just be confident that you can do this because you can.
I thought we said no singing in the shows.
We did, but you know, I always break the rules. So we have so many questions, you guys.
Well, we.
Oh yes, okay. I will not skip over the next topic. Sorry.
Oh, we're just having a day, you guys.
But we do have a lot of questions. I would just say is I'm trying not to be so long-winded this time, because last time we had to rush through the questions, you know?
Yeah. Get a German friend to translate your werewolves.
Yes, actually, I was gonna talk about that. Where am I at? I don't know. We have a document here, guys, and again, like, the reason why we're late, like, I'm just so out of it today. I don't think I slept well. But yeah, Mari, I was actually gonna bring that up because so people who are watching, Mari is actually my German translator for the Miranda rights, and one of the things you want to think about when you're writing a world or you're building it is like the stuff that goes in it. So government, religion, people, culture, language, rules, consequences, all that. Don't be afraid to explore a new language. So for me, and I guess I'm just going to plug myself again here. I said I wasn't going to be long-winded, but I am. Don't look at me like that.
What way?
Like, you're like, gosh, you're such a pinky. So there was some debate a couple days ago. I'm Pinky, she's Brain. Yeah.
Obviously.
So in the Miranda rights for my world building, okay, there, like, I think there's a universal idea of vampires, werewolves, and witches and how they function out in the world. But wow, that was loud. Everything in my book is based on real lore, but it actually, I've tweaked it to be a little new. Just stop laughing at me. That makes me break. So I'm getting to the point. At least Mari likes my singing. Elle's eyebrows. Yep. Okay.
My eyebrows are on tweak. I had them waxed. On fleek.
Okay.
Such a boomer.
So in the Miranda rights, you know, the vampires are based in like a Cherokee lore called Spearfinger. So, you know, instead of being the broody poets that, you know, suck blood and are all romantic and stuff and seduce you, they're really more scary, and they're based on Spearfinger, which was a creature that basically sucked the soul out of people's bodies through a big rod, pointy thing. Yeah. So, you know, there are ways that you can change it. The point is, German, and Mari was talking about language, and we were talking about it. My werewolves are based heavily in Germanic lore, and therefore they speak German to each other. Their probably cult is based out of Germany and Europe, and they have like serious Roman Catholic vibes because of that. But when I first wrote the Miranda rights, you know, I didn't speak German. I, you know, so, and, you know, you could go like, hey, they're speaking in German and blah, blah, blah. But I like to, I guess the better way to phrase this is I hate myself, so I like to create more work. You know, I found Mare, and we became friends through this like writing relationship where she translated my wolves for me. So when they spoke to each other, she would say, okay, well, that is an American way to say this. So in Germany, we say it like this. Or, you know, in Germany, we don't say that. The closest thing I can do is this. And not only that, but it takes it to a deeper level. So there's a character in there named Oren who is actually older than a lot of the other wolves. And so Mare goes as far as to use older words when he's speaking. So like he has a more formality to his conversation. So Bishop is really crass and he uses more of the short, you know, get to the point stuff. Made's excited about Oren, you know, get to the point sort of stuff. And then his friend Oren is a little more regal, I guess. So yeah, I mean, I just feel like in your world, if you take the time to you know, explore something you're not comfortable with, but you find someone who is good at it and is able to help you, you know, you're helping that immersion. Did that sound coherent? But yeah, you know, I could hook you up with a really good German translator. I've started taking Spanish myself, but good God, I'm probably not the best one to ask for a lot of translations. It's very bad. But I do have a translator I used for Birds and Bullets because the Spanish in that is really more España, Spanish, Spain, instead of you know, American Spanish or anything. So yeah.
Sounds like whenever I do French, I'm like, don't come to me. I speak Quebecois French, not France French.
Yeah. Oh, hint, hint, guys. We are doing a show all about language. I'm not sure what week that is. You guys are going to make fun of me. This is my agenda in which I have notes and tabs and stickers and color coding. When is language?
I feel like it's not next week, but the week after.
Not next week. It is. So it is the week of June 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming. Oh, nice. We have someone who actually speaks French, which is good.
Ooh, okay.
Because it is so different to like
slide into Skies of Embers French.
Yeah. So if you guys need some French, some France French, you guys should go check her out. Can we put your username as a source for France French for anyone who's looking?
Yeah. Oh, we already did. That's
yeah, well, I just
your name in here. This is a community.
If you want some Quebecois French, I'm here for it, but just to let you know, it's not as good.
I have 5 years of high school French. Does that help anyone? Not 5 years in high school. I started in middle school. That sounded like I was really dumb.
Well, I mean, if it helps, where I am, you actually do 5 years of high school because you start in grade 8 and then you go to grade 12. So
I'm too American for that. Mari called me out for my gay agenda. Yes, I did buy this because it has serious pride vibes. I think that's a good slide in here for anybody who's gonna join us next week. We are doing a special pride show and we're talking about representation in our work. We will have a special guest. You guessed it. I'm sorry I said no singing. It will be Mare herself. So you can see all the trolling that she does. Come join us next week and troll her back. Because again, this is a community. We're all family here. Oh my goodness. You want to talk more about how you build your world?
I would love to discuss that. Yeah. Okay. So we thought that we would just quickly share what we do to develop our world so that you guys kind of get maybe an idea on how you can work towards developing your own worlds in your novels.
Man, I already went through mine.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of talked about it up top, but I'll sum it up really quick what I do. So First things first, I research the area that I want to write about. And honestly, if the area does not sound right after I do a little research, often I will scrap it and I'll look for somewhere new. You know in your gut what feels right, trust me.
Yeah.
And if there's any special events that I write about, like for example, Puck Fair, I make sure that I research it really well, that I understand how it all works, like why it's important to the community, like where did it start. I try and find out as much as I can. I look into how the setting affects my characters. So for example, Calorglin, I made it really important to Patrick. Like, it's essentially his heart. It means everything to him, that little town, and growing up in it and his family and stuff like that. So I really tried to make sure that that played out in like the whole experience of being in Calorglin. I really tried to romanticize Ireland. I tried to make it really beautiful up until I switched. And then I really wanted to flip the switch because there's I guess, spoiler alert, the black moment happens in Ireland. So then I really had to flip the switch really quickly. And so you'll notice that it goes from being very romanticized to almost being like dreary and dark and gross, and it's not so great anymore. And that's really important, by the way, whenever you are writing contemporary, that you are making sure that your setting is really doing a good job of helping the mood of the story. Mm-hmm. I use Google Images a lot. Anytime I need to describe something, I'll often just type it into Google Images, and I will use that as a basis to help me describe a room or a building or anything like that. I find it super helpful. And ultimately, I just have a lot of fun with it. I do try to write stories and set them in places that I really want to visit, or places that I really just enjoy the culture, because I think it just makes writing that much more fun. As much as I'm transporting my readers there, I also get to enjoy kind of being transported there as well when I write. And so I feel like it just really helps make writing that much more enjoyable. Yeah, and I guess, Meg, you kind of talked about what you do.
I sure did.
You just kind of commandeered the whole thing.
What you said. Oh, man, guys.
All right, well, then we can just move into the questions and comments section, I think.
Also, we took a poll, as we do every Wednesday. We take a poll. Well, we don't take polls every Wednesday, but we have like a question or something interactive. The Wednesday had that kind of hints at what we're doing. If you missed the show, you can still look and be like, hey, this is a question about world building. Oh, I guess they're talking about world building. And our questions were, what are some of the good world building mechanisms that you found? And then if you had any questions ahead of time. Sorry, spaced out there for a second. Do you mind if I list them? Like,
go ahead. Yeah, you're doing great.
That. So some of the great, we got a lot of repeats here. But Lord of the Rings was our number one. Like, yes, absolutely. I love the Lord of the Rings.
I love it too.
I love all the little side stories and lore and cultures, and I just think it's great.
It's so well developed.
Mm-hmm. And that's another one I wanted to mention, like, about back in language, is that, he created so many languages. Like, he didn't just take a language, he created them, and I'm so
and the writing.
Yeah.
He also created writing. It was just insane.
So beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that in Fellowship of the Ring, we kind of talk a lot about the Shire, but it was beautiful, it just was long, but yeah, Lord of the Rings was a good one. We got a few people saying that. Six of Crows, so basically all the Grisha novels. I have not, well, Six of Crows is not all the Grisha novels. I will not be attacked for that. But yeah, I have heard that, you know, that's what Shadow and Bone is based off of. I've heard that the books are very descriptive. The world building is incredible. So many layers and stuff. I've not actually read it. I'm gonna. If you haven't noticed, I change my books out every week, and they're, you know, mostly my to be reads. Actually, I've read all those. But, you know, I have a long, very long to be read pile, and I just keep adding to it. Don't at me. Harry Potter is another one. I mean, look at all the details to that. There are houses, and I thought of that when you were talking about how to make like a school different than others. I mean, that's a really good example. Buffy, we got that one. I'm a big fan of like the Whedonverse and all the mechanisms.
I've never seen Buffy.
You've never seen Buffy? Have you seen Firefly? Okay. Well, I'm just gonna not list any of the other Dr. Horrible sing-along blog. All right. Well, I'm sad. So there's a lot of layers in that, you know. They actually went as far as to make like a tabletop RPG, not to nerd out here, but you can like even get like a companion's guide to that, and it tells you like the breakdown of how monsters and people and magic works. So yeah, that's another one. The Last Airbender, that's a really good one. That's just gorgeous. I like some of these I've read or watched, like watched the shows based on it, and I'm like, oh my god, I should stop writing. I can never write anything this amazing. I'm just gonna go, you know, walk into the pond. The Night Circus, haven't read that one. That one
it's really good, and you know what? I agree with this person. It's such an intense world that was created. I feel like I can't even give it justice explaining it. So I just recommend that you get the book and read it, because it's such an incredible, well-developed world. Like, just
The Magicians.
mind-blowing.
We got another one in the comment, The Magicians. I've not watched or read that, and but I've seen it pop up, and I probably would. Did you watch it though? Did you? Mare's coming for you.
Me?
Yeah.
I've not watched like anything. Have we not established this, that I don't watch TV?
Yeah.
Does no one get that yet?
Also, we're almost to the end of this list, so if you have any world building questions that you want to throw in right now, do it. We are nearing the end of the hour. Okay, so Night Circus, Chronicles of Amber. My mom absolutely loves this series. I need to read it. I know I don't read anything except, don't judge me, choose your own adventure romances. I know. But this is the one where it's like, oh, make a decision, then go to this, whatever. But, Foundation series, I'm not familiar with that one. I feel like,
yeah,
I don't know what that is. I have to look that up. So yeah. Do you have any coming to mind right now?
Me?
Yeah, that you want to add? We never add our own thoughts to this.
You know, I read this really good series when I was like a teenager by Kelly Armstrong. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Oh, it's like The Summoning was the first book, I think, or something. Anyway, it was really good. So it was set in high school, and it was basically like this girl, she got her like first period, and it actually like set off her abilities as a necromancer, and then she got sent to like this kind of like boarding school for like people with different abilities. Anyway, it was just really good, and again, it plays into that whole the high school thing where it's like, what makes your setting so different? And like that's really what made this different, was like all these different abilities that these people had. And I found it very interesting how the author chose to set off her abilities.
Yeah.
Because she was like a late bloomer and she couldn't figure out why, and it was because it set off her ability to be a necromancer. Anyway, it was really, really good, and I think even as an adult, if you read it, it's still a really good book. But yeah, and Kelly Armstrong, I've read a few of her books, and all of her books have really good world building within like your average within your average city or town.
We got another
and it's
one.
Just really good.
Star Tide Rising. Also from the contemporary standpoint here, because we did talk about how you can world build in contemporary writing, which is one of our questions. The answer is yes. So kind of like a world in social circles. You know, I'm gonna force that peg into this hole. But like in The Great Gatsby, you read it, which Elle will read eventually, you have this whole social like society where Jay Gatsby is this incredible party thrower or whatever, and like just the parties that you go to through those characters and the, you know, old money and the new money, those dynamics, that's a world in its own. And then, you know, my favorite book, Casino Royale, and all of the Ian Fleming Bond novels, the espionage world there, that social construct, I like those as well. Shades of Magic trilogy is really good too. Yeah, from everything I know about you ranting about that series, yeah, I would agree that that is a really pretty series. So, questions. We can move into question. How do you make people about a high fantasy world with
I find don't care about the world unless Game of Thrones.
Okay. So I think that that's not necessarily a high fantasy issue, but like a overall catch-all issue. Like if you want to write so that people want to read your work. So like Elle here told me right off the bat she wasn't really a fantasy reader. But then she went and she read the Miranda rights, and one of the things that she said, and why we're such good friends, is that
because I stroke your ego.
Hey, I can brag. No, but you know, one of the things she said was, you know, that the writing felt what did you say? The writing just sucked you in. It made you feel like
I felt like I was there.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, the Game of Thrones novels, they do that because, you know, maybe you're not into that sort of genre or era even, but it's like, it's written so well that you care about Dorne and you care about Dragonstone and you want to see these places and see the wall and all that. Because you care about the characters and you care about the story and like more than just, oh, the wall was an emerald color, you know. So I think that's more of like a cohesion issue there. Like, does that?
And also, I mean, I think it's the same of other novels. Like, I'm gonna go to Outlander. Sorry, everybody. It's the same thing. Like, you know, it just, the writing really draws you in. It's very lyrical and beautiful, and you just, you know where you are, you're feeling in that era, you're, you know, like you understand the hardships of being there and in that time, and especially as someone from the future, you really feel how difficult that would be to go from having modern amenities to having, you know, nothing. And that, I think, again, like Megan said, it's all that stuff. It's really just making readers feel like they're there and feeling the struggles, feeling the good stuff, feeling everything is what I think creates a really good world. And that's what's going to draw people in, for sure. And also Game of Thrones was very popular, so I think it's starting to die down, though. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not in the fantasy world. Why would I say that?
I don't know. I'm rubbing off on you.
Okay. How do you decide what makes the cut?
You want to take this one?
So for me, like as a contemporary writer, I just go with my gut feeling about what I want to include and what I don't want to include. So I really, like I said, I really think about the setting. I think about it overall. How is it going to affect my characters? How is it going to affect the pacing of the book? You know, like I think about all that stuff. And then if it doesn't feel right, I just kind of like, I take it out. It's gone. I look for something different.
Yeah. I mean, you could
That's
always
kind of
throw
what I decide.
so much in there and then, you know, go back.
Yeah, and even language, like whenever I started doing the Irish language, there was a point where I was like, do I want to include this? Is it too much? But then I did decide that it felt important to the story and to his family and something that set him apart from other Irish families.
So
sorry, you go.
No, you're good. I'm riffing off of yours. So for me, I throw a lot of things out there in my first draft. And then I like to beta test it. I use Wattpad a lot for this too. Because I actually wrote Miranda Writes twice. I wrote it first from a third person perspective and then had some feedback on it that people would prefer it to be in first person because they wanted that side, you know, like the deeper detail to connect with Miranda. So I mean that's like a major thing, but I took out a lot when I made that choice, because you know, cutting things out or whatever, like it just made more sense. And I feel like when you allow yourself to share your work with others, they're gonna see things that you didn't see, for better or for worse. So when you put it out there and somebody reads it and then they comment on it and they say, oh my God, blah, 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 you're, you know, gonna know if your breadcrumbs you're laying down are too much or too little. Like, are they picking up what you're putting down? Is it getting across? Is it too heavy-handed? Have they figured out the mystery in chapter 1? You know, and also I'm also a very Chekhov's gun style writer, so I really try to make sure absolutely everything serves a purpose. So like if you read something in the book and it's something that you're like, well, that, you know, like that's a very specific detail, like there's a reason why that comment was made. Just I'm stuck on Miranda Writes tonight. Miranda says at one point that another character tore through the streets of Memphis, Tennessee, you know, just to get to her. And if you knew what a bad driver he was, that would mean a lot more. And at the end of the book, that comes full circle and you kind of see like what she meant by that. You see like more of their history together. So yeah, I think the number one thing for that is just make sure it serves a purpose. So yeah, I'm getting the eye roll from Elle saying, stop talking, we're close on time.
Yeah, I do have to say we are at like the 5-minute mark. So.
Yeah, let's catch up on chat real fast. So yes, I agree, Megan. George R. R. Martin researches loads of history, which makes his stories realistic, I think. Yeah, I think if you, like, I personally as a reader, there's a lot of different readers out there, but I personally as a reader, I like things that are grounded in already existing knowledge, especially the ones that kind of challenge that, you know, status quo there. And then the most important question, have they figured out who to ship? Yes, Sidrin is very popular. Yeah, nobody seems to like my Medi ship. Medi is Miranda and Eddie. I know. I don't have a ship name for Bishop. No one made it, you know.
Well, that's because everyone that we thought of sounded so weird.
I know. But Citron was coined, you know, not by me. That was by Made here. Yeah, they figured that out. And I think also rewriting it, when you're determining how to recut, consider rewriting some things because other things will emerge out of it. Next one. Should it be 10 minutes left? Yes, we did start late. Thank you for, calling us out like that. I already apologized.
Yeah, we're sorry that we started late today. Okay, how do you not overthink and fall into a rabbit hole?
I like Eddie. How dare you?
You know what? I'm gonna throw this out there to defend Megan.
Mm-hmm. Do it.
At the end of book 1, I started to like Eddie a lot. I really started to understand his character. I really started to understand his purpose. I really started to see things that at the beginning of the novel I couldn't see, and so for those reasons I didn't like him. And then as the novel kind of came to an end, I actually got really mad at Meg, and I kind of yelled at her a little. I'm not going to say what happened, but I'm going to say that at the end of the novel, when I finished reading, I was like yelling at Meg and being like, are you really going to do this? So you have to read the novel to see why I was yelling, but that's how I felt at the end of it. So
yeah,
just saying, for her defense. Okay, we can answer the next question.
How do you not overthink and fall into a rabbit hole? I can't answer that. I overthink everything and I fall into a rabbit hole. You know what? Embrace the rabbit hole. Sometimes you're going to find things in there that, are just, incoherent, but you can make sense of,
I agree. I absolutely agree. I think you just kind of got to write it. And if it doesn't feel right, you just kind of know it. Because I do the same whenever I'm thinking about, like, what do I want to include? What don't I want to include? I just kind of start including the things that I think I should. And then when you edit, that's when you start to get rid of all the, like, all the stuff.
Trim,
Yeah, trim the fat.
Can you world build in contemporary writing? Yes, Elle covered that.
Yeah, we talked all about that. Absolutely, you can.
And then tips for keeping it original. Just try different things, write the story that you want to read. I can't tell you how many people hit me up and they say, hey, I have an idea for a story and blah blah blah, and like, I can't write that for you. Like, you're gonna write that so much better than I ever could. Even if I was George R.R. Martin and a billion million whatever era writer with all these crazy amazing ideas, you thought of it, and that's the best thing to do, is just take your ideas and push them and push yourself. Then of course, beta read, share it with friends, share it with other writers, Google concepts, other people are going to catch things that you didn't see. So, yep.
And in contemporary, it's like I said, it's about making sure that the setting, that people know where they are, but also you want to make sure that you're making it unique. Yeah. So it's about finding that balance between those two things, kind of.
I do want to throw this out here real fast before we wrap up. It is so scary to put yourself out there. And one of the reasons why we created this show is because we want to create a community. We really do. We want to meet you. We want you on our show. We want to talk stuff. We
want you to slide into our DMs.
Slide on in. Elle and I weren't friends before we met through Wattpad. I don't know her outside of writing. This is how we met. And now we call each other best friends. And that was because we took the step of, hey, it is scary to put myself out there, but I really want to be a writer. I'm ready for somebody to tell me what needs to, change, what's landing, what's working, what's not. And our friendship has thrived into this beautiful business relationship where we're creating something together. Yeah, I was on it. We're creating something together here. So that being said, you know, if you have a new venture coming up, especially if it's poetry, hint, hint, Elle and I are open to hearing about it. Run your ideas by us. Send us your manuscripts. Ask us questions. Ask us opinions. We
actually have an email now,
yeah,
we can actually do that. We can actually leave that for you guys as well. So if you guys want to send us anything to read, you can definitely email us to our email. We'll make sure to put that in there.
It's soyouwannaofficial@gmail.com, but I'll make sure to put it in the story after this. That being said, you know, don't be afraid to reach out to us. We're here to be your friend. You know, we want to be your guinea pigs here. We just want the world to have more art in it, more books, more poetry, more of you in it. You know, it's so important. And yeah, you know, and I want anybody who's watching this to know that we are open for that. Don't let dreams be dreams. Yep, totally agree. Couldn't do some stuff without simple. And then my thing, I have butchered that. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry. So, okay, you guys. I'm the bad guy this week. I made you all late, but I'm also going to have to end the show. I'm so sorry. Time's up. Get out. Just kidding. I was busy this whole time writing notes. I promise you I'm going to put the New York, I'm just going to draw a phone symbol here, New York hotline up for you guys and our email on the story right after we post this. And then again, next week, I'll let you cover that. If you guys have questions that you didn't want to share here, or maybe you didn't quite catch something, you don't want to go back and scoop through and try to figure out, you know, where that happened in the hour-long conversation here.
In the chaos that was today.
Contact one of us, lmeredith.writes, or author Megan Alexandria, and you know, we will fill you in or answer your questions. We love hearing from you.
We also love the screenshots that you guys are sending.
Yes, please send us more screenshots.
Please send them our way. They're hilarious.
They're helping me find my good stuff.
Anyway, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Next week, as we kind of talked about, we'll be joined by Mane to kick off Pride Month, and I'm so excited that we are going to be talking all things LGBTQA+. I'm super stoked to learn more. I feel like sometimes my stories don't have as much representation as I want, so I'm like super excited to like soak in some good knowledge on that. And I'm so excited that Made is joining us. Hopefully we don't divulge into a big argument between the three of us as normally happens, but we'll try and keep it on track.
Hey, I'm nice.
Are you?
No.
Anyway, make sure that you are hitting that like button. Tell your friends about the show. Yeah. We stay tuned to our pages. Every Wednesday we drop all the stuff for the next show that we're doing. And
subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, subscribe on YouTube. We now have a YouTube channel. You forgot to add that in there. You're right. Subscribe on YouTube. We now have a YouTube channel. And tune in next Sunday at 5 p.m. EST for, sorry, it's Eastern Standard
Time. We're going to troll.
Can we restart the whole show?
Hey, guys, very important here. Tune in next week so that we can troll both Elle and her EST and Mare, who likes to slide into our chats and just say the weirdest things, okay? It's you and me against them.
Anyway, tune in next Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show. As always, we want to see you there. Have a good night.